Hello and welcome. I'm some guy you've never heard of, and this is Some Guy Listens to It All, Chapter 2, Block B. So just a friendly disclaimer before we begin, these are solely my thoughts and opinions about this group. I'm not in any way, shape, or form a music industry professional. My opinion should not be perceived as an objective analysis of quality, because, they're not, they're just my opinions. I'm an individual with unique tastes, just like you. I might say some negative things about something you love. Please keep in mind that this is in no way an attack on your tastes. We just differ, and that's okay. And if you want to argue, that's alright. There's a comment section, or you can make your own video to refute my views and express your own. Also, I'm checking these out on Spotify, so if something on their discography is missing from there, then I'm gonna miss it. Also, another thing to address, since it's Block B, I'm not doing subgroups unless they have, very little out there. Say if I was doing Red Velvet, sure, I would cover Irene and Seolgi. But if I were doing After School, I'm not going to cover Orange Caramel. There's too much Orange Caramel. With Block B here, I'm not going to cover Bastars, because there's a handful of Bastars. And they would deserve their own chapter. So, let's see, sorry, one sec. So, Beastars debuted in 2021, in April, with the single Do You Wanna Be? And the title track, Wannabe, is pretty dope. Don't Move is also really good. It's, very deliciously this period of time. Reminds me of Big Bang and Shiny of that era. And then the other track, Does It Only Happen to Me? Didn't really care for that one at all. So, a little later, in 2011, they released New Kids on the Block. Halo was really good. Let Them Know was really good. Yoo-Hoo-Hoo was just kind of alright in my opinion. And then the rest of that EP is stuff from Wannabe and instrumentals. Although, if you include backing vocals, it's not really an instrumental. Just my little pet peeve to address from there. So this was Freeze, my fifth favorite of their songs with music videos. Here we have Jackpot, which every time I play Vanner's Jackpot, not every time, but often if I play that one, my daughter will put this one on shortly after if we're hanging out. So they came back in, it's not really a comeback, but I guess so. In 2012 with Welcome to the Block, which was a repackage. Oh no, which was also then repackaged a few months later. Yes, it was a comeback. Sorry, I was misreading my notes. I really hate the whole repackage thing. It's annoying. It's I feel like groups and companies that do repackages probably hurt themselves with sales, because why am I going to buy the original album if I suspect there's going to be a repackage in a few months? I'll just wait and get that so that I'm not buying the same music twice. So as I was saying, this in 2012, they had Welcome to the Block. The track LOL is pretty dope. The second track was really cool. If I recall, that's Nilili Mambo. The next couple of tracks on that one are just kind of slow for me. Action was pretty cool. Definitely had some nice rapping on it. Reminds me of some other pieces that I really liked in the past. And honestly, the repackage didn't add anything at all that I cared for. They were featured on the soundtrack for The Thousandth Man, with their song Your Umbrella, which, I mean, it was a nice song, but it's not really for me. However, they were also featured on the soundtrack for a show called Ghost, and their song on that, Burnout, is really awesome. I wish it had an actual music video. So in 2012, later in 2012, they had a full album, Blockbuster. The first track on there is just not for me. It's too 90s hip-hop. The interlude goes pretty hard. And then, oh no, that's right. Nilili Mambo is on here. The third track, Nilili Mambo, is just fucking dope, man. It's so awesome. It gives me some old Hollywood Undead vibes, and it is just a treat to listen to. Mental Breaker is pretty good, but it has some parts that just don't quite go hard enough for me. No Joke was awesome. Movie's Over is a little low energy for me, but it's also really good. The seventh track, which, yeah, titled in Korean, in Hangul, and I don't read that. It's just too much of a ballad for me. Oh, and here we are with Very Good, which is a very aptly named song in my opinion. Then back to Blockbuster. The eighth track had some nice funk to it. Didn't really care for the ninth track, but it's not bad. It's just not me. And then, oh, Halo was on. Wait, was Halo on two different things? Oh. Halo was on there as well, and it still slaps. So overall, that's a really solid album. If you were only gonna buy like one, if you were only gonna buy like one Block B album, I would track that down. Then, almost a year, about a year later, in October of 2013, they had Very Good, which features this song right here, Very Good. Be the Light was pretty cool. 3 W's and 1 H is also pretty cool. So was Nice Day. Really solid mini album. Then there was a... Oh yeah, then in July of 2014, there was Her, which is also very good. Dime Girl was a really interesting change of pace. Then the track Her is fucking awesome, which you will hear right after this one. Hold Me Now was definitely not for me. Just too much of a ballad. I know that there's a market for ballads, but I am not it. I don't get it. I want music to pump me up, not put me to sleep. I mean, it did sound like it'd be really good on, it did sound like it'd be really good on, say, like a K-drama OST. One of those sappy ones where the girl ends up going with the guy that's less attractive and treats her worse. Sorry, I've seen too many dramas that were like that. Jackpot, the last track we heard, was also on her. And then there's also the rough version of Very Good, which also aptly named and very, very, very good. And so here's her. And also in 2014, they appeared on the soundtrack for Secret Door, and that was pretty badass. Then there's definitely a bit of a hiatus until April of 2016, in which they released Blooming Period. That album is just definitely not for me overall. Too soft, too slow for my taste. Some of the songs have some good moments, but not enough to redeem the song. The only real track I liked off of there was Bingle Bingle. I think that was a Unit song, but I'm not sure. Also in 2016, they released a Japanese album, My Zone, which is mostly their other bangers, but in Japanese form. I think there were 2 originals on there. One of them, if I recall, I couldn't read the title, and the other was My Zone, which is, it's pretty funky and also a little on the disco side, in my opinion. Not a bad song. And then it appears in Korean on their next EP. And they also had a non-album single, Yesterday, in 2017. Pretty cool. I liked that one. Not good enough that it ended up in my top 5 here, but it was pretty good. And I didn't realize that Zico came on Block B. Because, I mean, that's a name that I see all over the place with things. I mean, I couldn't tell you which guy is Zico, but definitely someone who I'm somewhat familiar with. Somewhat. Oh, we were just taking a break in the middle of the video. Got it. Then they released their last mini album in November of 2017, Montage, which was then later repackaged in January of 2018. It started off with a Korean version of My Zone, which is pretty good, so, just like the Japanese one. Shall We Dance and One Way were also pretty cool. Less badass and more casual fun than their earlier releases, in my opinion. Like This is a sappy sounding ballad. Totally not for me. And then the song Give and Take both somehow feels like it's missing something and has too much going on. And then on the repackage, they added 3 new tracks at the beginning, and I didn't care for any of those. Yeah, I didn't like Don't Leave. At Last it was even less to my liking, and Everything's also not for me at all. And then the rest of the repackage is what was on the original. And so here we are with my favorite Block B song. So honestly, I liked way more of their music than I was expecting, and it kind of bugs me that I wasn't really like on board when they were an active group. So, seeing as the first chapter got no feedback or anything, for chapter 3, I'm going to go ahead and do Girls' Generation, also known as SNSD. And yeah, if there's any groups you'd like to see me react to like this, please feel free to comment here. Otherwise, by the time it's time to pick the next chapter 4, then I'll just pick something. So thank you very much for watching. This has been Some Guy Listens to It All, Chapter 2, Block B, and I am some guy you've never heard of. Unless, of course, you have.